Hi, and welcome back. Again, this is an exciting session that we have. Every year, I'm kind of surprised at what becomes the major issue during the session. This year, it appears that transportation, we're going to be able to make some significant strides in transportation. The governor has proposed an acceleration of bond package that we approved in the 2007 session of the General Assembly. The bond package that we approved basically is going to provide for several $100 million per year over the next 6 years. What the governor's proposed is to actually accelerate this and use all of that money over the next 3 years. Now, why would we want to do this at this particular point in time? Well, first of all, interest rates are at the lowest that I can recall in recent memory, and because we maintained our AAA bond rating, we're in an excellent position to get some of the lowest interest rates we possibly can if we accelerate these bonds over the next 3 years as opposed to over the next 6 years, what we intended to expend and already approved to expend in terms of the bond package. So that makes a lot of sense from that perspective. The second issue that becomes very, very important as we analyze this particular package is that we have the opportunity to put a lot of Virginians back to work at a time when we need to put Virginians back to work, building these important and critically needed transportation projects around the state. And so by accelerating these bonds, we'll have a lot more money available to us to put out for bid. And those bids will obviously, once work starts, create a lot of jobs throughout Virginia on these transportation projects. The third, and probably the most important one that we're seeing, is because of the state of the economy, contractors are bidding low prices that we've never seen before. These prices are coming in on what we estimated for $1 would cost, they're coming in at some 60 cents. And so here's the three things we're getting. We're getting a very, very low bid for the work that we want done. We're taking advantage of very low interest rates, and we're putting Virginians back to work at a time when it's most needed. So from that perspective, I think the governor is spot on his proposal. I think it's getting bipartisan support now, where originally it was a little bit partisan in terms of some Democrat resistance to this. And I see these bond packages rolling through right now, and I think you're going to see some real results on transportation around the state. In addition to, the governor completed an audit of the existing VDOT budget and was able to come up with some close to $1 billion in monies that were just sitting in vacant accounts that had not been expended. And I think you're starting to see some of those results throughout as we deal with some of the potholes and highway resurfacing around the state, and that money's being put to good use, and now we have this additional funds available to us. The governor has proposed, I don't know if it will pass this year, but we dedicate a half a cent of sales tax in Hampton roads and also Northern Virginia, where the transportation needs are the greatest right now, where when you're being singled out, and particularly as in Northern Virginia, is one of the worst traffic areas in the country, and Hampton Roads is not far behind Northern Virginia in terms of the traffic patterns we experience there. I think this using of a half a cent of sales tax is currently being generated in our areas, coming back to the localities where it's generated to be able to use for transportation projects makes a lot of sense to address some critical needs. But as we go through, and I'll share with you some of the discussions we had a discussion with the 4-star admiral in charge of the Navy in the Hampton Roads area, and he's the official title is Fleet Forces Commander, and basically he is the senior Navy official in the Hampton Roads area. In a meeting that state legislators had with him about 3 or 4 months ago, he stated he cannot recommend to the Pentagon moving any more military installations to Hampton Roads until our transportation problem's fixed. So to give you an idea, that's about 60-65% of our economy is driven by the defense spending in Hampton Roads, and to have the gentleman in charge of the Navy in our area make that type of statement gives you an idea of the criticality of the situation. And from the Navy's perspective, just the economic development opportunities to do this. And I don't think we want to underestimate what transportation means to economic development. You hear it across the board. I don't care if it's the manufacturers. Basically, every business operating in Virginia clearly indicates that transportation in the state is the #1 critical importance to their operation and continuing to run business. And so I think the governor's spot on that. I'm glad to see that this 2011 session of the General Assembly is really focused on transportation. It's not one of those things I thought when we first come up here was going to be a major issue, but it's proved itself to be a major issue, and I think we're going to have a lot of positive steps. And so look forward again to talking to you next week on other issues, but I wanted to this time to focus on transportation. Again, call us if you have issues, call us if you have problems. The General Assembly is a very wide open session. I know your legislators that represent you want to see you, and I hope you take the opportunity to either contact us by phone, email, or great opportunity if you have the opportunity to come up and actually visit with us. We'd love to have you. Have a good evening, and we'll talk to you later.